What's up, guys, and welcome to the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean. Tonight, I am interviewing Jeremy Rudd. His new horror slasher, Diced, is on Prime and Tubi. I had the opportunity to watch this film the other night. I was very impressed. I reached out to this gentleman, and we're here. Jeremy, thank you for being here, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Man, you must be on a filmmaker high right now because this film is getting a lot of press. A lot of people are talking about it. There's a lot of eyes on it. You're in a lot of conversations right now. And as a filmmaker myself, I know when you put all this work into these films, you never know what's going to happen. So you must be high right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we were making this film, we thought like, this would be the first film, and then, kind of it'll take us to the next one. But it's definitely doing that plus more. So, it's I get tagged and all the time about my people watching my film. I get mentioned, liked, commented, people making TikToks. I have people making face masks about our villain. So the conversation is definitely there. So now we're just really, really paying attention to all the feedback, good and bad, and kind of utilizing that to kind of like cultivate and shape how we're going to game plan Dice 2. But as of now, in the meantime, definitely trying to push it to as many people as possible, get the eyes on there, get the attention onto the film, and kind of basically just grow a fan base, and then and then kind of go from there.
Well, you're definitely doing that. And, I've been watching what's been going on. I've seen those mentions. I've seen people talking about it, and it got in front of my face very quick. The first thing I seen was a DVD cover or a poster of just the character, the Scarecrow slasher himself. And just that alone had me wondering, what's this about? What's going on here? And then I start seeing people talk about it, and I'm like, okay, all right, I got to stop and go check it out. And I loved it. I thought it was great. And I want to talk about all the things I liked about it. But first off, man, let's step back for a second here. Where are you from, and what got you into filmmaking to get you to where you are right now?
So I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I started off doing acting. So I started off doing acting, kind of fell into the role because some guy that my brother met, he was looking for background character for a film. So we went and did that, fell in love with it, and ever since then we started doing a lot of acting side roles, one or two liners, and then eventually we got in touch with a guy named Joe Lamb. He was looking for investors for a film, so we started doing. Me and my brother started doing associated producing. So we were investing into a film, and this film is getting ready to come out in September, and it's called The Fetus, and it's starring Lauren Lavera. So that's kind of got our the gears turning in our head as far as we think we can, make our own film outside of, being an executive producer or associated producer. So
Absolutely.
that's where, and that's a horror movie. So that's where we kind of wanted to kind of stay within the realm where we're already comfortable in, where we've already been doing. So that's where it all kind of started from.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you, man, has it always been horror for you? I kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit. I watched some old interviews, man, and I heard that you've been in love with horror since you were a young little lad. Has it, as far as filmmaking goes, has that always been in game right there? Hey, if we do this thing ourselves, we're going to jump in the horror genre, or is there other stuff that might pop up from Mr. Rudd and the family?
Yeah, I mean, as far as right now, definitely want to stay within the horror film. One of my biggest influencers or people I look up to would be Jordan Peele. He has a lot of, you know, thought-provoking horror films, and I kind of want to be within that realm. I don't know if I want to implement, that creative side within the Dice films or kind of do another one, because Dice is more of a kind of paying homage to this typical 80s slasher films where you have the villain terrorizing the town. That was big in the 80s. We're kind of trying to do that. I don't know if I want to have the element of, creativity and thought-provoking plots and storyline with Thin Dice, or I want to do something else. But I'm
Right.
kind of in that middle ground right now as far as what I want, the direction we want to go with Dice 2.
Well, that was going to be a question I had. I was going to try and hold off towards the end to ask it, but you've mentioned it. So um, I know when it comes to these slashers, there's always that window of opportunity where whether the killer dies or not, we're going to figure out some way to bring him back. But you
Mhm.
left that window open, and when I seen it, I don't want to give too much away here, but come on. When I seen it, I said, "Oh, there's going to be a part two." And
Yeah.
so do you already know what part two is going to be? Did you know what it was going to be before, or were you just waiting to see what the film did?
Yeah. So right now, me and my brother, we're just waiting based on like the feedback, like as far as the good and bad, we're kind of utilizing that to kind of shape the next one. But I kind of I kind of just developed this first one and kind of paid attention to what people are, speculating as far as number two goes, and then kind of going from there. I have my own initial thoughts about how I want to do it, but I also want to pay close attention to what people are kind of saying and speculating, because we want to make sure all our bases are covered as far as the next one. As far as different ideas and plots and twists. Definitely part two. We're intending two big things, which kind of are characters. We want the characters to be more people to be more involved with them, to have their own personality.
Mhm.
And because this first one kind of moved fastly throughout it, but we're trying to slow it down and have people really fall in love with our villain, fall in love with our final girl, and then kind of going from there.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I felt like it was coming from the time I started watching the film. At least, you establish such a character there so quickly, from escaping from the mental hospital to what his look's going to be immediately. We
Mhm.
learn he's a mean murdering machine, and I said, 20 minutes into the film, I said, wow, this has a potential to, this has franchise potential.
Yeah,
And I know myself when I've sit down to do characters and stuff, that's something that I'm conscious of. Like, I'm like, I gotta leave it open just in case it's a hit.
yeah,
Um, but going back to the press that this has been receiving, it's almost like a music artist with the hit song. You just never know if it's gonna hit. But
yeah,
you gotta hit here, because this thing is, a lot of horror films are coming out left and right. They're not really getting in front of everybody. Not everybody's picking them up, talking about them. 12 years ago, everybody would write about every horror film. It's not like that now. They're only grabbing the stuff that has the potential to
yeah.
go the distance. So that's got to feel pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it definitely feels good. And that was like the main intention, to kind of have a villain that's never been seen before. Because there's a lot of scarecrow killers, but there's not like really ones that are like you can see their facial expressions. They're just kind of cold hearted, just slashing people. We definitely for this next one, we definitely want to make sure the fans and the viewers are really involved with the characters and really kind of drawn into them, to either really love them or really hate them, as far
Mhm.
as the villain, and definitely the final girl as well. So we're definitely going to be a lot of more character development within the script. Um, but yeah, ultimately, you know, there's scarecrow killers, but we wanted to make something different with this one.
He's very unique, and I said that from the moment that I seen that cover I was talking about. And I don't, whether cover, poster, doesn't matter. When I seen his silhouette, I said, okay, Jeremy's got something special here. And I think a lot of people seen that right away. You were just asking, what is it? So Well, let's go here. What was the process like? I know everybody's process is different. Uh,
Mhm.
how long did it take you to write this thing until you started filming? How long has this been going on? How long have you been working on Diced?
I want to say 2021 of November
Wow.
is when I started writing it. And then I was just kind of thinking like, what what villain has, hasn't really been done. I mean, you see a couple scarecrows, but not really. You don't you see a lot of like mass killers and stuff like that. But I wanted my villain to kind of, have a painted face so you can see his expressions if he's happy, sad, mad, all that type of stuff. And so that, and kind of led me to doing a scarecrow killer. And you can make him fun. You can do a lot of things with a scarecrow, because you can post him up and make him look like he's actually a scarecrow. Like, people have props of scarecrow on their porch for Halloween, or
Oh yeah.
people have scarecrows in their crops. So you can like kind of, there's a lot of things you can kind of play around with. So I thought this guy would be really fun to like kind of develop him and put him into a film.
I love that you thought about the fact that you could see his emotions and his looks, and that's something that is awesome about makeup that you can't get with the mask. I know, because I have a slasher film where the guy wears a mask. So you have to, in order to sell it, otherwise they have to have certain movements and it has to be a consistent thing. But there's something very powerful, Bane in The Dark Knight. Well, you never seen his mouth moving, but what he did with his eyes was just so compelling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's very special. I was happy to see that, and actually, that's one of the first things I noticed about it. So I'm like, man, somebody, actually took the time to do a makeup with the scarecrow, make a scarecrow a slasher, which is brilliant. I love the chin. That was a very unique touch right there. The hat was well done. I mean, I looked at this thing from the ground up, and I was like, man, I would be proud of this if I were him. So, um, now, we talked about it. You always kind of knew it was going to be horror. You've loved horror. Um, what is next for you're paying attention to what the fans want. You're going to go to the drawing board, but does this thing start production soon if you go into a sequel, or are you going to give it some time to breathe?
No, we're getting right into it as quickly as possible, but maintaining quality, and making sure we got the budget to make sure it's an even bigger and better film for part two. But I had a couple production companies, distribution companies reach out to me wanting to fund the next one, as well as some investors as well. So we are speaking to them within the next couple weeks. We spoke to a little bit this week, and then speaking to some more folks next week. I'm gonna start a Indiegogo, because I don't know what kind of numbers they're trying to give me as of right now, but definitely
Yeah.
gonna get an Indiegogo started here pretty soon for the next one, and then kind of go from there. But being a first time director, doing everything from, I did the casting myself, I did the directing myself, a little bit of help with my brother as well, but then all of the post production, I did all of that for my, first time ever in my life doing that, from the color grading to the sound design to the editing, to the sound effects, all of that, all on
So
my own.
you did all you cut this thing together. You did the grading, you did the sound,
Yep.
all that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
did it all, just looked up YouTube videos on how to do it and kind of figured
Wow.
it out. So
That's
yeah.
crazy, man. I do my films the same way. I film them, I edit them, I write them, I direct them, I do the lighting, I score them, I do everything myself. And that is a rare thing to see. And knowing how hard it is, I know that's what my fan base has told me they love about my films.
Mhm.
It's so good when you can do that for a couple reasons. Um, Relying on people when it comes to filmmaking, I have found is the hardest thing
Oh
you
yeah.
ever have to face. And I was going to ask you that question next. How was the process of making the movie for you? And how did you get the movie made? Now you stepped into the producer quarters there. So you did all those jobs and you produced it. You funded this whole thing as well. No
Yeah.
studio.
Oh yeah. Funded it, did everything pretty much. And I just learned a ton. Like when you're directing for the first time and then you go back to edit, you're like, why did we shoot it that way? Why didn't we do more angles? Why didn't we fix the lighting here?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second time going around, I know exactly what to look for, what to do. You know, some of these kill scenes, we didn't shoot up enough angles. We didn't do it full speed. I'm thinking like, and the production team I chose for this one, this is their first feature film as well. So it's
Wow.
like a lot of new people in this film. And this next one is just going to be a more established production team for sure. I'm going to know more, and then I'm probably going to hire out some post-production people, especially with like, I think the hardest thing for me was doing the sound and sound design, and then the color grading.
Yeah.
And then aside from that, I just got to shoot in a lot more different angles, directions, and kind of tie this whole thing to make it more realistic as possible. And then also the kill scenes. Dice 2, we're just gonna have just this creative, never before seen like kill scenes. I'm just gears are definitely turning in my head on how we can deliver some impactful, never before kill scenes before. Because horror fans, I'm finding out that they love kill scenes are very, very important. We have
Very.
5 in this last one. We're trying to at least get 10 plus in this next one, and just make it super gory for sure.
That's awesome, man. And that's some of the stuff that I really enjoyed about the film. And I did notice. I just want to step back for 1 second here, hearing you say it. I want you to know that I noticed. I noticed in a lot of scenes that there wasn't a lot of cuts. There wasn't a lot of different shots. Like you didn't go up for maybe a close up or a medium, or come in with like a little Dutch shot or just something little. Like I thought it was on purpose. And I think it looks great. And to me, it made it feel more like an 80s style horror film.
Yeah,
So I thought that was on purpose. I don't think that hurt you, but I get what you're saying, man. You learn through trial and error. It was your first film. It came out great. And I'm sure, being an actor and working on these sets, you've learned a few things here and there.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah,
moving forward, man, upping the kills and everything. I really appreciated the color grading on the film. So to know that
oh,
that was your first time doing it,
thank you.
I think that was the first thing I said out loud, because I watched it with my wife and my youngest son. And I said, I really enjoy the color grading on it. I think because of the makeup and everything, it made it pop more.
Yeah,
I'd love to see what it looked like without the color grading or any effects, man. I know it was awesome, but it just, that color grading ties it together. I know, because I was doing it right before we started
yeah,
this interview. That can change the whole dynamic of something very easy.
yeah. We wanted to put a little grainy filter on there to give it that more 80s feel.
Mm-hmm.
That. So we threw that on there, but yeah, definitely a lot of these kill scenes could have been better, but because of budget constraints, we had to rush through during some of them. And one of the kill scenes, we were in a house where I guess there's a lot of things plugged in, and
Mm-hmm.
the power went out. So we had to. This is like at 1 a.m. and we had to go get the homeowner to kind of, because the breaker box was in the garage, and the garage was locked. So we had to call the homeowner at like 1 a.m. to come, and she was so mad. So we had to rush that kill scene. It was just like, man, now it's just like learning a lot of learning lessons. It's like now you have to make sure all these things are in order, because again, the production team, this is their first time, my first time. I learned a ton on the filming, on the directing side, as well as the editing side. What to look for and what not, what to do and what not to do.
Well, I think the camera that you guys used was great.
Yeah,
Whoever you had film, I didn't go down the rabbit hole that far, but whoever you had filming it, they did a good job. You called the shots you did get were great, man. There was so much I loved about it. I look at everything as a filmmaker myself, man, and a fan.
yeah,
And I thought it was really well done. I love the ending of it. I love it when people leave the window open and
Mhm.
you know, just opportunity continue. And I agree with you, man. There's so much I can't wait to see you do with that character. And I am also stoked that there's a scarecrow out there now in the slasher arena. And is this thing on DVD yet?
No, we're looking to get that done here pretty soon, within at least before summer.
Okay.
Get that out there, throw the signed DVDs or DVDs in general on our Indiegogo campaign. So yeah, that's definitely in the work, especially as well as some merch as well.
Cool, cool. Every horror film I like, I have to own it. So that's why I asked. But I seen it out there, and I know people are going to wonder. So anybody that's watching this right now, keep your eyes peeled. There will be opportunity for a DVD, but it is on Tubi and Prime as of right
Yeah.
now. So there's no restrictions on anybody going to watch the film. Man, you can go watch it as soon as you are finished watching this interview here. Um, I loved a lot about the film. When you talk about you did the music yourself, do you do music or have you dabbled in it?
As far as the music goes, I there's a subscription service. I did the subscription service where there's like a library of music. So I was just looking for like 80s type of theme music
Oh, gotcha.
on there. So, but yeah, I didn't create any music on my own, but it was just kind of going through the library and picking up
Found what
things.
fit.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's awesome, man. Well, I know a lot of. I've been producing music since I was 9 years old, so I've got
Mhm.
lucky. I know how hard that is to do.
Oh yeah.
You know, to find what fits. But um, something that I've seen some people out there saying here and there, even in like a write up or something like that, people drawing comparisons to Terrifier.
Mhm.
Was there any inspiration from the Terrifier franchise, or did it just happen to? I've seen people say it has a an essence there of a
Yeah.
Terrifier. For me, that's just a brutal slasher with a lot of gore. I
Mhm.
say that about my films. You know, this second film I have coming out is I tell people like, well, the gore is on the level of a Terrifier film. That way, they know what they're going to expect. Was there
Yeah.
anything inspirational to you that maybe you pulled from the franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I pull little bits from some of my favorite movies, or movies that were really popular at the time. I mean, when I was writing it, it's like, for example, I grew up watching Halloween and Friday the 13th and Child's Play, so I wanted to kind of have that essence of a slasher, or like a villain kind of going through slashing up, terrorizing a town. And then I looked at newer films nowadays, like Terrifier for sure. It. I was looking at a couple other ones as well. So I was kind of utilizing all of these things and kind of brainstorm how I wanted my film to go. But ultimately, it's just a typical 80s slasher. I wanted to pay homage to 80s films. There's a lot of
Right.
typical slashers in the 80s. So I wanted to pay homage to them, but there's nothing really. I mean, it's just a slasher, a guy, and then we have our plot line as well. Our storyline is completely different, but
Yep.
ultimately, I think people just see just this creepy villain slasher guy, where you can actually see his face and his expressions, and he
Right.
doesn't speak. I don't know. No villains really speak except for I think the It Clown does, but Jason and Michael Myers, they don't speak. But if you can see this guy's face, it's just kind of similar to Art the Clown. And then I specifically told Jason Brooks, he plays our villain.
Hmm.
He also did our special effects. And I specifically told us, hey, stay away from Terrifier, stay away from Art the Clown, but I want you to make it your own. I want you to kind of do your own thing, and what feels natural. And so he went there and did his thing. But ultimately, for this next one, I definitely want to kind of be more hands on with the character's mannerisms, his facial expressions, make him his own unique character where people can really, see him as his own.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna ask you, and as a fan myself, I know you're listening to the fans. Are you going to keep him? Are you going to keep him the same, like the same outfit, the same makeup style? I hope that you will. I mean, ultimately, I know that's your decision in there, man. But I noticed with a lot of films, other than
Mhm.
maybe Terrifier and a very few others, um, people always got to change up something. And I feel like
Yeah.
that if it's not broke, man, why are we trying to fix it?
Yeah, exactly. No, we're definitely gonna keep his look, same facial expression. We might throw a little bit of lighter clothes on him.
Hmm.
So some type of clothing where that you can see the blood of his victims on his clothes and on
Gotcha.
his face. So
I
that
like
way
that.
you can just he just looks like this killer. He just bloodied up. He could care less that he has his victim's blood all over him.
He's taking a
So
piece of everybody with him everywhere he goes.
yeah, exactly. Like one of the scenes, he took took the girl's hand. He chopped off in the trick or treater scene. But
I loved it.
yeah, to put it in his little candy bucket.
I love that. And without giving too many people away, too many things away. Not too many people. We're not giving away people here. I promise people. But the eye gouge scene. It's funny because I have an eye gouge scene in my movie. It's coming out in October, and when I first seen that, I was like, I wonder if he's gonna do something unique. And when I seen the next part of it, so everybody go watch that scene. When I seen the next part of it, I was like, dude, you did something very unique there. So big props for that one. I have not seen that. I've got like 1,300 horror films behind me here that I've watched. Um, I haven't seen that. I thought that was really, really well done. And your actor that plays the Scarecrow, he actually did those effects.
Yeah, he has a team of like 3 or 4 people. Um,
Wow.
and he was in full getup, setting up this kill scene where he had the dummy, and he had
Mhm.
the blood, he had the tube coming out, and the blood's going everywhere, and as he was kind of setting it up, then he had to go back into character and have his team kind of do the rest of it. But it was cool. It was cool to watch. I definitely learned a lot about practical effects as well.
Yeah, this is my favorite, man. That's one extra job that I do on my films that I do all my own special effects, and I can tell you it's so hard, man. It's so hard to set them up, frame it up, get the lighting right, direct the actors, then jump behind the camera and yell action. Um,
Mhm.
it it definitely helps having a special effects team, but man, you're talking big money, right? So, we all would love to make everybody just explode, but then the budget's just going.
Yeah.
Um, special effects are super expensive. A lot of people don't realize. They say, "Hey, I want more." Well, look, man, we're growing. We're gonna get there, and I can see that with
Yeah.
Diced. I can see that the bigger this thing gets, the bigger the kills are gonna get, the bigger the
Mhm.
body counts, and um, I'm stoked for it, man. Is
Yeah.
it is there anything is there anything that's happened due to the success of this so far that's just kind of like a moment for you, man? Like maybe some big dogs in the industry or other horror filmmakers reaching out to you or props that you've got? Is there something that kind of sticks with you that's like that moment where you're like, man, you won't believe what happened, dude? You know, is there anything like that?
Yeah. There's a lot of things. I had like some of the people from Terrifier followed me on Instagram, and then I had a lot of blogs reach out to me, publications reach out to me. If I go on Instagram or Facebook right now, the notifications are just insane. People tagging me, TikTokers doing reviews about it. It's just like all that stuff is very, very new to me. I try to reply to me and my brothers try to reply to as many people as possible, but it comes to be just a lot of people to reply to. I'm like, wow. At first, I could keep up with that. Now it's like
Right.
I can barely keep up with all these people. But again, we're just heavily involved with the horror community or anyone who's watched our film. We just want to just take notes and and fill the gaps, and kind of where we can improve and where we can take this movie to the number two.
That's awesome, man. Out of curiosity, I don't know if you can say or not. I know sometimes it says this kind of stuff online, but is there a ballpark of what a budget for a film like this would be? Like the first one, like what approximately in a general idea, like, do you know what it took you to possibly make something like this?
This first one was around 70, 80 grand. Majority of that was towards the production team, and then we also paid for Airbnbs, food on set, different licenses, paying the actors, paying special effects. But yeah, all of that was pretty much self-funded. We
That's
had a little bit,
incredible.
we had a little bit of Indiegogo, but not a ton, because again, that was new to me, how to pitch and how to sell and all that type of stuff. But
not like it's going to be for the second film. You throw it up on there now. You've got the fire started. But I think that's really impressive, man. I just seen earlier a film that I was very taken with. I seen that their budget was 70,000 and it brought in around $5 million, and I was just blown away.
what film is that?
I'll have to send it to you, man.
That's crazy.
Because I had watched it and I didn't think anything about it. And I was going through just kind of like scrolling, and I'm like, looking to see what films that I've seen in the last few months, like, hey, how much did they, and some of them were up there. I was like, man, some of them barely broke even. Some of them didn't profit, some of them, but that's impressive, man. And I'll say this, the quality of it, when you watch your film, I don't think anybody would think different that you didn't have at least $1 million behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, that I would have said that it maybe 900 grand.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing too, so the times have changed. What you can do with cameras nowadays is just remarkable. Even DSLR cameras, it's mind blowing. They've made it to where people can become filmmakers. A lot of people think it's impossible. I don't know anybody in Hollywood. I don't have any investors. You'd be surprised. There's cameras under $5,000 you can get, and you can make a film that looks like it has $1 million budget, just depending on what you're doing. And in this film, it looks really good. So yeah, I'm shocked to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, that's another reason why we took horror. We went with horror because you can do a lot for a little in horror, right. And it just translates well around the world. Everyone knows what it feels like to be scared, opposed to like maybe like a rom-com. I think that translates different in different parts of the world. But everyone knows what it feels like to be spooked or scared by something, and you don't have to have these amazing actors to kind of demonstrate that. You do need to have good actors, but you can make it work with some decent actors, especially if you're in the horror realm of the film industry.
I agree with you 100%, man. And I like that. And moving forward with this show and everything, I want to ask, questions that can not only excite the fans, but also help other filmmakers out there. And that's why, being a filmmaker myself, I kind of know the right questions to ask. And I want to ask those because there's a lot of people that are going to watch this, that are going to be inspired that Jeremy Rudd did this film for less than 100 grand. A great script, great quality, great outcome. It's on Tubi, it's on Amazon. Everybody's talking about it. You've got something that you can look at here now. It's a package deal now. So now I get people are stepping in. They want a piece of that. And what's crazy is more than ever, you don't need the majors. It's like the music industry, man. Independent, you can do so much, but hey, you have that option, and that's got to be a great feeling that somebody's coming to you saying, "Hey, we want to give you some money, buddy."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like early on, I had a bunch of distributors that wanted to take the film on, but it was like, what can you do for me that I can't do for myself? I could put it on these platforms. You're not going to really market it. What are you kind of giving me? It's more, I think it's more so the top distribution companies where they have a bigger platform, they had a marketing budget, they can put it on better places, they can get you in front of different interviews and type of stuff.
Right.
But a lot of this stuff you could do on your own. You just gotta, kind of figure it out yourself and kind of, outside the box thinking when it comes to marketing.
Yeah. And we talk about those numbers there, about like what it took to make the film. What about all the sweat equity, man, you put in it?
Oh yeah.
Somebody, you know, somebody had asked me that last year on this film, because like I said, I did every job myself. And I was like, well, I don't know. I wrote it, directed it, filmed it, edited, blah, 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 did the special effects and makeup. And they were like, well, what would you charge somebody? And I'm like thinking to myself, well, damn, that's quite the question. Think about it, man. If we had to pay somebody to write it, direct it, film it, edit it, score it, do all the special effects, I don't think you could get that film done. Had you not done all those jobs, I don't think you could have made that movie for less than $1 million.
No, you
So
couldn't
there
have.
you go.
I saved myself so much money doing it all myself, just
Yeah.
like figuring it out. And I'm such a perfectionist and like very organized. You have to be able to really research things entirely to the fullest extent, and then
Right.
and know how to execute on that. So make a plan and execute. That's all it's really about.
That's awesome, man. Out of curiosity, for anybody that's watching, and I even want to know this myself, what's your favorite horror films of all time?
Man, my favorite horror films of all time. Man,
Two or three. Two or three.
I grew up watching a lot of Child's Play.
Same.
I
Wow.
watched 1, 2, 3. I watched that all the time. I even watched a lot of those, because it was just St. Patrick's Day. I watched a lot of Leprechaun, even though it's
Nice.
like that cheesy kind of comical type of horror. I watched a lot of that one. Definitely watched a lot of Friday the 13th and Halloween for sure. Those are probably my top ones I watched the most. And newer ones is just a lot of I look up to Jordan Peele, so I watch a
Yeah.
lot of like Us and Nope and Get Out. I watch a lot of those, and then Terrifier, It, as far as the newer stuff.
I love
Uh,
what you did with Candyman.
oh yeah,
I have watched that film about 5 or 6 times.
yeah,
I was impressed with what Jordan did with that. I don't know why I was shocked. I was shocked because I was expecting it to feel traditional, but it felt like something new.
yeah. It did. I love that one, and I heard he's remaking People Under the Stairs. I watched a
Ooh.
lot of that growing up. Do you
Wow.
remember that? Did you watch that?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't hear that, but I'm stoked to hear that. I mean, thank you.
Yeah.
What's funny about that, the first thing you said was Child's Play. That's the first horror film I ever seen, and that did it for me too. Mom taking me into the VHS store saying, hey, you can pick out whatever you want. Went right to the horror section. I want this. And I think I rented it like 20 times when I could have owned it. you know. But yeah, everything you said there, man. I know those are the goats. Those
Yeah.
are the goats of, when we were growing up, when we were kids. And 80s baby?
Yeah, I was born in 87.
Okay. I thought so. I got a hint of that earlier. We were very lucky, man, to see horror in the early 90s that we did. I was born in 84, so I got to see some good stuff as it was coming out. But now horror has just changed. It's so different. Things, you can do so much with so little, and that's what's really cool about it. You said it, the horror genre, you don't need $40 million to make a great horror film. And I think that's what's so appealing for filmmakers to jump into it. But if you're actually beyond the money, if you're just passionate about it, this is such a great career choice, man, to make something you've grown up on and love. And and actually can do without knowing, you know, a rich old uncle, which I don't have. I jumped into this, man, and it took me a long time to do movies the way I wanted to do them because I had to go and get money somewhere else and come back to it, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but the cool thing is now, and hopefully other people that are watching this, if you want to make movies, just go get a camera, just do it. Don't talk about it. Don't let people say we got to get $50 million. No, you don't.
Mhm.
You just have to have a great idea, man, and get out there and do it. But well, for anybody that's watching this right now, that's an aspiring filmmaker, what what advice could you give them about your process and something you learned that could possibly help them?
I would just say do as much research as possible. Research, research, research. Look at the newcomers for sure because they're utilizing, what technology we're using now.
Hmm.
Different platforms. Look at those guys as well as the the older filmmakers. So look at the new, old, and then do a lot of research, and then come up with a game plan that you want to kind of map out, and then execute it. You execute on it. Make an action plan, and don't just sit on it. Just make sure you're taking steps and strides towards your goal, and just keep going. There's always a way. Just figure it out.
Absolutely, man. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Jeremy Rudd. Go check out his new horror slasher on Prime and Tubi, Diced, DIE apostrophe CED. I love the title when I first seen it. I'm like, man, you got the character, you got the name, you got something special here. Check him out. Keep your eyes open for Indiegogos, DVDs, a part two. I have a feeling that this guy's going to do some incredible, incredible stuff. He already has. I mean, if you check him out on IMDb, he's been in some stuff. He's done some heavy duty acting, and now he is a writer and director. Got another film coming out called The Fetus.
Yeah, the fetus. Yep.
Yeah, I seen a little clip of that earlier. Man, that looks impressive too. So definitely, man, stay alert, and love you guys so much. Definitely make sure you're subscribing, liking, commenting on the videos. This is the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean. I'll see you guys next time. But until then, sweet nightmares. Just stay on 1 second.